In this episode, we're going to talk about how to create a high-ticket coaching program. So by high ticket, I mean 5,000, 10,000, 25,000, 100,000. These are all realistic, but how do you create a program that you can sell for a high dollar amount like that? Maybe you've had the experience of, as you've tried to create something that sells for a higher price, you just add more features. You just add more and more. Maybe more modules, maybe more bonuses, or to you, maybe that's more pressure. But what if that's not what makes something high ticket? In this episode, we're going to explore what actually sets premium offers apart and why the most successful ones look nothing like you'd expect. Let's dive right in. So let's address that first myth that I need to add more content, modules, and bonuses to justify a high price. The reason that is plain and simple a myth is because you're talking about features. Features are not what people want. Now, it's not that you can never talk about your features, but the majority of your focus should be on the outcome, the result that your program gets. So if they're going to hire you as a coach or they're going to purchase your program, where are they now? And where are they going? What is the result that you can get for them? The bigger that outcome, the bigger the investment that they want to make because they really value that outcome. So let me think of some examples off the top of my head. If the outcome is, I'm going to teach you a better way to tie your shoes, I don't know how valuable that is. Maybe somebody's willing to pay $5 for something like that. Or for the other outcome, let's say, I'm going to help you double your business revenue from 500,000 to $1 million. All right, so there's a monetary value there. You could easily justify a cost for a program like that because there's a return. And for a program like that, what's your track record of success? Have you ever helped anyone do that? Have you ever helped somebody at 500,000 go to $1 million? I mean, you can't make a promise like that unless you can hold it and unless you've done it before, unless you had experience many, many times. But the more specific the goal is, and the more realistic the goal is that you can help them accomplish that, then you can justify charging a higher price. So what if you're asking yourself, well, Nate, what if I have never helped somebody go to $1 million from $500,000? Well, what have you done? You are a coach. You know how to help people have big transformations. How would you describe that transformation or that change? Where were people? And where did they go? So if you are a coach and you help people through sessions, so you help people kind of have breakthroughs of thought, have they done anything with that? Has anything in their life changed? And if not, if they've just had a good experience, if you've helped turn them from upset to happy or from unconfident to confident, I mean, that's a change. So chances are you just need to explore it a little bit more and you'll find what that change is. I mean, let's just talk about relationships or something. Let's say you have helped somebody that was having a hard time communicating with their spouse and you gave them some advice and they can communicate a little bit better now. So you want to look at things in that way. What is the outcome? And if you can guarantee a really big outcome, well, then that's a higher ticket program. So let's just talk about a simple example that I've used before that I think is helpful. Let's say there's a therapist and this therapist can help people overcome arachnophobia. They can charge an hourly rate. Maybe they're a really sought after therapist and they're going to charge $200 an hour. Hey, yeah, I've helped people with arachnophobia before. Let's just do this. And they start, we'll do a session this week. It's $200. And keep coming back so I can keep helping you and keep helping you. That's going to be a harder sell at $200 per hour or whatever it is, compared to I have a program that I will take you to overcoming arachnophobia. At the end of this program, you're going to be able to hold a tarantula in your hand. This is guaranteed. I've helped hundreds of people do this. This program is $5,000. Okay, so whatever the numbers are, it doesn't really matter. But what I'm trying to get at is you need to specify that outcome, be really clear on the outcome, and be able to deliver on that. This needs to be real. And if you can't deliver on that, then offer a full refund. How can I structure my program without overwhelming my clients? So I don't have a template that I can give you. It's not that more is better. The more that you put into a course or the more assignments or whatever, is that going to help them get results? I want you to think about, okay, if I were going to hold this person's hand step by step to lead them to a result, what steps would I have them take? What do they need to learn first? How often do they need to communicate with me? What can be done in a group setting? What could be done in a recording or a course setting? Now, many years ago, before I learned this lesson, I would start out with the consulting first And we'd get on these consulting calls and I would end up answering a lot of questions over and over, the same questions from different people. And in my mind, I was thinking, man, they could have just watched this video, or they could have read my book, or they could have taken my course. Why are we spending this precious consulting time talking about these topics? So what I then tried, and what I've stuck with since, is I've created courses, and before we can do consulting on certain things, I have them watch those videos and complete those courses and start to implement it. So then when we get on a coaching or a consulting call, I can look at their specific scenario, what they're trying, what they've tried. They already understand the answers to the basic questions. They know my strategy. So now I can really consult them on what's unique to them and is really going to help them fix or solve or get the result that they want. As important as that is to create a step-by-step process that's going to help lead them to the outcome, right? You don't need to sell the process so much. You just want to let people know what the outcome is that process delivers. So you can tell people, I'm going to take you through a very specific step-by-step process to help you get this result. And you're focusing on talking about what that result is. You can talk about other people that went through this process and they got that same result. So if they have questions about the specific features or the specific steps of your process, definitely answer them. Give them the details. This is a real program, of course, if you're going to be charging a high ticket amount for this, but answer those questions as needed and focus as much as you can and return as much as you can to the outcome, and ask them questions. Ask them, how important is it for you to actually accomplish this goal? Is it just kind of like a wish, or is this make or break? Like you're going to quit your company if you don't accomplish this goal? How do I market my high ticket offer without sounding pushy? I feel like I've got a pretty good answer to this one because I have programs that are in the $500 a month range, and I have a program that's over $100,000 a year. And the program that most of my clients fit into is the expensive one. Now, the point of this video is not to make a pitch, all right? So I'm not gonna make an offer at the end of this video, but I just wanna use that as a real example in how I do it. Because if we rewind back to my college days, I was a door-to-door salesman and I learned the hard closing techniques. My favorite one was the walkout close, where they would say, yeah, we just need to take some time to think about this. And I would say, you're right, I fully support that. I want you guys to take some time to really discuss this together. I left my bag on their floor and I said, I'm just gonna go out on your front porch, close the door so you guys can talk about this alone and you can come and get me when you're ready. And I wouldn't ask for permission. So I'm not telling you to do that, and that's not how you get a high ticket close. That was just a smaller sale. It worked, but I don't use those closing tactics anymore. I don't care if people buy right now. It's okay if they think about it. I don't want them to have buyer's remorse. If somebody's going to be investing a big amount like that with me, I want them to have real clarity on it. I want them to have real confidence in it, and I want them to have all their questions answered. And of course, if they need to sleep on it, if they want to talk to their spouse about it, if they want to pray about it, I encourage that. And if eventually they decide that we're not a fit for working together, I'm glad that I didn't push for the sale. So what do my sales conversations look like today? It's really a consultation. We don't even talk about my programs or my services until we need to, and many phone calls we never need to. So I look at them, I look at their business, I look at where they're at, and where would they like to be? What have they tried so far? What have they tried at that's worked? What have they tried that has failed? What's missing? Like what pieces do they feel are missing to help them get there? And we can talk about strategy and how the strategy can really help them, and how the strategy can be the piece, the missing piece to help them accomplish that. And I've got different levels that I work with people, and so I'll kind of gauge, are they wanting to do more of these things themselves, or are they wanting it completely done for them? And so then if it feels appropriate, I'll say, well, I do have a program that I think can really fit. And they'll say, sure, yeah, I'm interested. So then I'll explain that program. And I'm just telling them all the facts. I'm telling them this is the price, this is how it works, this is the outcome that we can expect. And then I just wait for them to let me know. If they say that they want to think about it, I'm fine with that. When you're making a high ticket sell or a high priced offer, it takes practice getting used to that, to where because it will make a significant impact financially. Anything high ticket does. Do whatever you can to get yourself into a place where if you don't make the sale, you're gonna be great. You want what's best for them, and be sincere about that and have that conversation. And if you truly feel the program will be a benefit for them, then let them know. Let them know, I'm really confident in what we've discussed, And I'm excited to really help you get there. I believe we can really get there through this program. But you don't need to use any closing techniques. You don't need to say, yeah, the offer expires at midnight, or some missing out close or something like that. I recommend don't doing those things. All right, there's something else that's important that I'm excited to discuss, and that's this pre-frame. If someone has built more of a relationship with you and they have more trust with you before the conversation, that conversation goes way better and they're way more likely to buy a high ticket program. So what that looks like for me is I teach my leaf strategy and I have a webinar. This webinar is an hour long. And anytime somebody watches the full webinar, they understand the full picture. They understand the strategy and who it's for and who it's not for. And they've seen many examples of what implementing the strategy can do for them in their business. So if somebody had just watched a 10-minute video, that's going to be helpful. But for somebody that's watched, a whole list of videos, or they've watched that full webinar, and then we have a conversation, they've already answered a lot of their concerns. The relationship of trust is a lot higher. And so the more of our conversation can be directed to them and their goals and their business and their situation instead of having to convince them of the strategy. Think of it like this. When you get a new lead that's a referral, how does that lead compare to a cold lead where you found a business card that somebody dropped on the floor? I'm just trying to think of an extreme example. They're going to be night and day difference. What's your conversation going to be like with this business card person versus a warm referral? There's a level of trust that's built. And so depending on where your lead sources come from, the more that you can nurture that relationship first before the phone call, whether it's through YouTube videos, through a book, through your webinar, those are ideal and make it way more likely for someone to purchase your high ticket program. Now, to go a step further, the strategy that I love is pretty cool. It allows you to find the questions that your target audience is asking, really specifically. So you can do some research and find the questions that your ideal client is asking, a real specific question. And if you make a video that answers that question and put that video on YouTube, this becomes a marketing piece for you. Not like a promo video. You're not selling anything in this video, but it works to really build that relationship first before they start exploring your services and before you have a conversation with them. So the reason that this is so cool is because these videos are not meant for your subscribers. You're not nurturing your email list. You're not nurturing your social media following or your YouTube subscribers. This is for people who've never heard of you before, but really need your help. These are your ideal clients that just don't know you yet. So you do those research to find this question, make this specific leaf video. I'll explain what that is. But you make this video that just answers their question. And because you did the right research, when you put this video on YouTube, it's pulling in views from new people who've never heard of you before, but that are your ideal clients, your target audience. So now that you understand a little bit more about how to make a high ticket program and how you're going to be more likely to sell it, I want to talk more about the marketing side of it, because you might have a wonderful offer, a wonderful program that has helped a lot of people, but just not enough people are finding it. So I've created another video that would be perfect for you to watch next. I'll link to it right here. It's called Why Your Marketing Isn't Working. You're gonna learn that, but you're also gonna learn what you can do to have effective marketing like I've hinted at in this video. So definitely go check that video next.